Yeah, so Cameron's coming over later, and we're gonna we're practicing the transitions between songs. So we have this 5 hour set of music, and we are like specifically picking which songs go in front of and behind each song, for not only for like the best transition, but I'm also aiming for, I don't know if Cameron's aiming for this as well, but I'm aiming for a kind of a narrative throughout all of the song. Like there's an arc, there's a storyline here. It's not like something that's going to be able to pick out and be like, oh, it's that. It's just like a mood, a feeling. This song has to make sense going into that song. And yeah, he was here on Sunday, and we practiced some, and like it was, oh wow, that sounds good. Like I had expected things to sound good, but it's blowing my expectations away, and I can't. I'm just so thrilled. I'm just so thrilled. I'm going to be recording it, so I'm going to be able to listen to it for the rest of my life, and I'm super happy and super excited.
What music research should I do in preparation so that, like, when a tune comes on, I can be like, oh yeah, banger!
Oh, I wish there was an easy answer for that. I mean, the easiest answer, the simplest answer is I mean, I guess the simplest answer is I could send you the playlists of like the larger scope. Like not all these songs are going to get played. It's been hammering down because I mean, because I made 4 different playlists for the 4 major sections of each of the set. So it's like 4. Yeah, it's divided into 4, and then each of the sections is 1 to 2 hours long, but the playlists are 2 to 5 hours long. And so, like, not all the songs fit, and we're trying to pick and choose which ones best fit. So I could send you those, but like I think the easier, like there's a Taylor Swift section. And it's like, well, listen to the best Taylor Swift songs. That's pretty easy. There's a pop section, and like pop is gigantic. Some of the songs are well-known songs, or covers of well-known songs, or remixes of well-known songs.
Mm-hmm.
But
I love a mashup, mate. I love a mashup.
Yeah. But some of them are just like some of my favorite pop songs that are a little bit more less than mainstream, I think. I'm doubting a lot of people have heard that are coming to the party have heard them, but they're still kind of popular. And then when we get into the trance and melodic house section, it's pretty much just Anjuna Beats. It's Anjuna Beats and Anjuna Deep are the 2 record labels that are mostly being present in that section. There's some Deadmau5. There'll be some Armin van Buuren. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put in my notes to send you a playlist.
Yeah.
And so it'll be spoilers, but it'll be, different.
It might be the kind of stuff that I can start listening to while I'm working, when those times when I know some of it, like when we get into the meditations, probably not so much, but while I'm working on stuff that isn't
fall
editing.
asleep while working. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Lovely.
I want to know about how your fasting went. You cool. Did a little bit of also, like you seem to have really dived in. You really have given a lot of effort. I'm seeing a lot of effort, and I admire that, and I just want to acknowledge that. That's really beautiful.
Acknowledged.
How did your fasting go?
It went well. It ended up as if we're going door to door as the crow flies. It was 40 hours.
Nice, dude. You extended. Yeah. You surpassed your expectation.
Yeah, well, it was because it was one of those where it probably was going to be more than 24 hours, just by the nature of how timing, eating works and timing. Yeah, exactly. But basically, I missed. So yeah, I obviously didn't eat anything at all on Tuesday, and then I had lunch. So my next meal was lunch the Wednesday. So no breakfast, and really genuinely tried to push it as to 40. It was very cold in the office in my new co-working space, and I could feel my extremities getting very cold. But part of it, I also knew, having been at a calorie deficit before and knowing what that feels like.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I know what this is. And having watched that video last week as well with your man, it's to believe what he says, which I see no reason not to. Like that's not. Like that's just as he called it. It's like you're a junkie or something. Okay, but that is your body sort of having the like
withdrawal symptoms.
What's happening? But it's not dangerous. It's just something that you work through.
Yes.
So I could have pushed through, but I didn't want to. At some point, I think I'm going to do this. Probably 72. I like the idea of doing a weekend, maybe once every 6 months to do a bit of a reboot. But I am going to aim for once a week. To do the same.
Nice. Oh, that's a great plan. Yeah, and if you build up that muscle, you can try out, if you want to, what I had mentioned ages ago, of when coming over to the party.
Yes,
you can try fasting from.
Did think about that.
The end of your Christmas dinner, like stop there and then fast until you get here and have some good Portland food.
Yeah, I did. I did think about that. I'm a bit nervous. I think.
Sure. Yeah.
I traveling can take a lot out of me. Yeah. Because I have to work about 150 to 200% harder than a sighted person to navigate. Of course. So I'm gonna take my, treats when I need them. If you know what I mean.
Sure. Of course. Yeah.
So it probably won't be the time to do it just because I'm gonna need, something to lean on. Sure. But I was thinking about that this week, but also just knowing what stuff's like. But it's definitely something I'm keen to try. I think what worked well was I wrote a new episode of Undo in the office, and then got home and recorded episode 1. And did a few other bits, and so what that meant was I was pretty occupied for the whole day. So when it came to sort of 9 p.m, I wasn't going out of my tiny mind. Whereas the thought of sitting down and just not doing anything for a few hours when I, could be eating, didn't like that idea. So by being busy,
that's hard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And got an episode of the show out and moved the needle. So that actually feels like a really good time to be doing it.
It does. Yeah, that's smart.
That sort of worked out. So
I like that a lot. That's really cool. How's Undo going? How's that feel?
It's cool. It's good. I spent a lot of time today doing a bunch of the sort of pre-release press stuff. So trying to submit to lots of newsletters and doing the Apple Podcasts Will You Feature Me dance and stuff like that. I sent it to a friend, a producer friend who's she's worked in radio and stuff as well as doing podcasts, and sent it to her for her sort of critique. And that went really well. It's looking positive. It's all looking good. I think there's a good show there. And the fact that I felt able to kind of do all of the things for an episode on a Tuesday, as a unit of time, that's manageable. I researched and wrote the episode for the first, 4 to 5 hours or whatever it was in the morning, and then I could do some other stuff related to it. So it's that's a manageable cadence for a weekly show. It's
sure.
Spending a lot of time, as you should do, to make something of good quality, but without it sort of feeling arduous. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's looking good. And then I'm taking all of the stuff, recording as much as I can. By recording, I mean noting down as much as I can in terms of what I've done, so that the stuff that I'm doing, the stuff that I'm learning, I can pass on to other people, knowing what's worked, what hasn't, what takes time, all that kind of stuff.
That's dope. Back on the health front, I'm curious about how your blood pressure and your cuff has been working. I actually recently got squeezed myself.
Oh,
I went. I was working a job this week and got a massive splinter, a deep splinter, and I'm normally really good at being able to get it out myself, but this one, it was in my finger and I just couldn't. I couldn't get it out, so I went to an urgent care. And they had to they actually had to cut like a flap off of my skin in order to be able to dig down deep enough. He's like, yeah, we'll just give you some numbing agent and then I'll start, poking around. And I was like, if we can, I'll just skip the numbing agent.
Cut me, bro.
I didn't say this part, but like I'm pretty used to pain, like for a variety of reasons.
As we would say in the UK, I am absolute nails, mate.
I am nails. That sounds funny. And he's like, all right, yeah, we'll do that. And so he got like the top level of it off, and then he's like, okay, so I got some out, but I can see it's much deeper, and I'm gonna have to cut a little section open. So I really highly recommend that we numb you up now. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. And I should have listened to my gut instead of letting him do that, because. And he said he was going to give me a little, but so he gave me a little injection, and then he gave me another little injection, and I was just like, it's already numb. I don't know why you're poking me again. And then within 5 minutes, I go completely pale. I start cold sweating like mad, like dripping. I get nauseous. I get lightheaded, and I'm like. I wouldn't say panic attack, but I'm feeling horrible, and I can't feel my finger anymore. And he's able to get the thing out, and it's fine, whatever. But it was a horrible experience. Anyways, so before that, they took my blood pressure, and it was 129/72, and I don't really know what that means. I just wrote it down.
A lot lower than mine.
Is that good? Is that
it's probably I don't know, because mine's really too high, so I don't know. But yeah, I think that's probably I don't know. Like, why am I continuing to say words? I don't know.
So 125 or 120 is like the normal range,
right?
It's not considered hypertension until above 130, and then 72 is within normal range. So I'm like. Yeah, I'm getting, but of course, I'm going to the doc because I have.
It's always higher.
Something. I mean, yeah, going to the doc in general is just like, I'm not a fan. And then I have a thing inside of me that's not supposed to be inside of me. So tension.
So what do you think caused the reaction?
I think I have kind of become really sensitive to outside stimulus. Like I'm no longer bombarded with a bunch of stimuli that are making me kind of always frazzled and therefore kind of never frazzled. And so now, because I keep my baseline so low, when I have an input of some sort of poison, because that's what that is, it's like the body's a bit like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And, I also wonder, like, the body can still the body still knows about the cutting and everything. Just because it's numb and I don't feel it doesn't mean the body doesn't know that there's a trauma happening. And so I think it could be partially that. And so it's possible that I could have even felt faint and everything without the injection, but it felt like it was the injection. It felt so wrong.
I'm sorry, man. That's rough. What was recovery like?
Oh, super easy. He gave me an antibiotic ointment that I did not use, and put a Band-Aid on it with some. Antibiotics are a killer for the microbiome. Okay. So they just kill indiscriminately, and I was like, well, I don't have an infection yet. Like, if I get a bad infection, sure, I'll use it. Okay. But like, I don't have one in it. I don't get a lot of infections. I'm not worried about it. And also, the body is able to fight off infections just fine, unless it gets out of control. So, so he gave me a Band-Aid, and he's just like, yeah, keep putting a Band-Aid on this for like the next week or whatever. And once after a day, when I took his Band-Aid off, I haven't put another Band-Aid on, and it's just healing up just fine. It doesn't hurt. It's looking really, really healthy. So, they have medical advice for a reason, but I like to not follow it. You mentioned a thing in chat that that was pretty funny, and that also reminded me of something else. And I don't know how to meld these topics together really well, but because I actually on later reflection, it's like they aren't really related at all. I can't remember why one reminded me of the other. It's just I kind of wanted to talk to you about this one thing, and then you were like, "Hey, this other thing," and I'm like, "Yeah, and this thing." I'm like, okay, wait. So yeah, do you want to talk about big hits? Or...
Sure. Sure.
Let's talk about big hits.
Okay. Warning. There's gonna be some talk about sexual things, and some things that are going to be uncomfortable. Okay, let's set the world. Let's set up the world here. There is a musician called Ali, and she has, for what I understand, been busking since she's 11. Since she was 11, like on the streets of on Grafton Street in Cork, I think, in Ireland. Since she was 11, according to a little bit of information that I picked up on the internet. Google, have you heard of it? So in that time, and this is, I think, pertinent to the whole thing. So we are going to be talking about dudes, and we're going to be talking about creepy dudes, and we're going to be talking about the idea that women and men are socialized to believe that men can't keep it in their pants and they can't help themselves. So this is a critique of the societal ideas of men. But by necessity, I'm going to have to say some things that are uncomfortable and a bit gross. There's such a great side jag on this, by the way, and it's not the time to bring it up just yet. But it's so good. Okay, there's so much of this that I find fascinating. So she's 19, and she popped up on my TikTok feed, and so it is necessary for me to point out, listener, that and I'm going to use as dry language as possible here because I'm aware of what I'm talking about. This person has a body that is that would very commonly sexualized. Like, this is someone that, is very, has a very striking figure. And where it gets really interesting and complicated is there are so many meta narratives here, because we're thinking about TikTok, which is a platform that rewards attention more than it rewards talent. This is someone who's put hard work in and hard graft since she was 11 to be a singer, and now a singer-songwriter. She plays the guitar, she plays the piano, and she has a nice voice, as a young person tends to overperform when she's live. Fine. I wish she'd learn her songs because she keeps reading them from her phone. But she's and she can work a crowd, and sometimes she's accompanied, and she's clearly been doing this for a long time. During that time, and again, it's so gross, but I have to say the words, her body has developed. And this is where we have two very different tangents. We have one world in which this is someone who just wants to be a singer-songwriter and has practiced for a long time. And on the other world, we have TikTok, which I don't think, with the greatest will in the world, that is the reason she is being propagated on TikTok.
Yeah, the musical talent is not.
Yes.
Yeah, you think it's a different reason.
I think it's a different
came
reason
into your feed.
And I don't think that is, and I'm not saying that to be any way demeaning
disparaging.
or thank you, to disparage her. I don't think the two are related. Because actually, I think a lot of the videos where she can be more over-sexualized are not actually on her channel. The way TikTok works sometimes is that the same person can appear, even the same video can appear from the same creator in different channels because of the way, people copy videos, and the algorithm goes, well, that video is like that one. So I think the ones where she is the most, popping, are, that was a weird use of words, are not actually on her channel. So I don't think she wants a part of this. Is what I'm suggesting. I don't think she wants a part of a world where she's getting famous because she's got big boobs, right?
Right.
The TikTok comments would beg to differ. Which is where we get into the side jag that I presaged. So there's a video that I watched yesterday, and there was someone made a comment about the great hits. So listener, I'm sure you get the bit by now. There are lots of comments that are like, "I love these hits. These hits are magnificent. The great hits are coming back. She's got a black top on these. Okay.
The hits are back in black.
The hits are back in black. Thank you." There was a video that popped up, and someone said some comment, and then the reply was the one word. And I think I love this because, and it's such an us conversation. The one word was, "bro." And I think "bro" is such a great like rebuking word. It's just like, "bro."
Yeah. Bro.
Because you can hear, you can see it, the facial, the like everything in that. "Bro."
Yeah. Come on, bro.
It's so great. And I love that. And that's all it was. It was just like, bro. So there's that. And so part of why this popped up in why I was interested to talk about this is there was a video, and I sort of mentioned, like, I don't think she wants any part of this. There was a video that she posted with herself looking sad and saying something along the lines of, the caption was something along the lines of, I won't give you the actual caption. I'll just give you the subtext. The subtext was, "I just want to make songs and promote my music, and all you want to do is look at my boobs." Mm-hmm. The actual text was something along the lines of, "I just want to promote my music, and all the people in the comments are like, show me them." Subtext being what it is. That sparked off so many different things in my head, because I'm like, on one end, she's probably been doing this for long enough to maybe have a sense of the understanding of what TikTok is rewarding. Yeah. And one of the first thoughts in my head was like, she's a young girl, let's say she's 19 now. So what if she put up a video where she knew what she was doing, she knew what she was doing, wearing clothes that make her, the figure hugging and whatever. Yeah. She's 19. She gets to, and I'm sorry. I know I tend to do this, where I tend to start defending a sentence even before I've actually said it, because my brain's just gone too far ahead. So apologies. I know it makes my discourse difficult to listen to.
I disagree. But, I think it's charming.
Thanks. So she's 19. She gets to change her mind. Is the point there, because she's 19. You know what I mean? Like, she gets to make what you might call a mistake or a misjudgment about, how she wants to be portrayed, whatever. Sure. And that was one of the first thoughts, is like, well, yeah, she absolutely gets to do that and be sad about the reaction, because she's fucking 19 and she hasn't built up this cynical carapace, might be the wrong word, but a callous, she hasn't built up those calluses about the world. Which gets us to the sort of the I think the real point, which is, it would be very easy for someone to watch a video like that and say, and men and women alike, I know women who would have exactly the same reaction, to say, what did you expect? Right? You put up videos where you've worn clothes that deliberately, quote unquote, accentuate your figure. You're a young person. You should know what you're doing. Yada yada. Right? And it's that is at the heart of this idea that, and we see it in the comments, we see it everywhere. Men can't help themselves. You mustn't dress in a way that makes you, as a person, yourself feel sexy, which you have every right to do, because men can't help themselves. Like, that's so fucked, because I as someone who occasionally walks around in a suit and wears, like, there's nothing like that feeling. Like, I don't get to feel sexy. Like, it's not in my, it's not the colors that I paint with.
Absolutely do get to feel sexy.
I am allowed, I'm entitled to feel sexy, is what, yes, I don't experience feeling sexy, but I get a suit on and the right cut of suit, and I'm like, sharp. right? Sharp motherfucker. And you do that because it makes you feel better. Wearing sexy clothes is not something that I have experience with, but I can absolutely understand that kind of, for want of a better word, like power dressing or whatever, is like dressing to be sexy because you can find yourself sexy. You can find you have discovered this yourself and must do. And I'd love to hear your like take on that, because the way you dress will have changed over the years.
It has. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I'm sure you look at yourself and you're like, shit.
I do. Yeah. It's really changed for me. It's been, like, it was only a couple of years ago that I really changed my mind on that and felt like, oh wow, I actually see myself as sexually attractive. And now, I look in the mirror now and I'm like, fuck, dude, I look good. And even in a variety of contexts, even when I know I'm not looking that good. Like, it's been, I just woke up, or whatever, it's a hard day, a little puffy or whatever, and I'm like, still like, well, I still fuck me. But
I've still raised the baseline significantly.
Yeah. But now, I definitely, it's way easier for me to see myself in a good light, and man, it feels good to like yourself in that way.
And you should be entitled to.
Cosign. Yeah.
And it shouldn't have to be about anyone else.
Right. Yeah. I definitely, I don't have the problem of a bunch of people on social media objectifying me. Because I look, from the perspective, well, first of all, it's generally not a problem for men to feel objectified. Not that they usually get objectified. If we're talking about the difference between men and women here, like, a man is often, a man who often perpetuates the objectification on their end towards women. When they receive it in any kind or think about it, they're like, that sounds great. I would love to get that kind of sexual attention, for, discounting multiple things. One, the danger that puts women in,
because it's not, that's the thing. It's not the objectification. It's the thing that comes next, because objectification is something you do in your own brain. And of course, like, I'm not sitting here going, like, I'm a horny little boy. Of course, I love boobies, right? Fine. But what I don't do, and I'm not saying this for points, but what I don't do is jump into the comments and then, say things like, if you were mine, I'd take such good care of you, as I've seen. And it's just, it's not the objectification that's the issue. It's what comes next, and it's how you
and what
behave,
implies.
how you act.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, because women objectifying men does not put men at risk.
Right.
Men objectifying women absolutely can put women at risk, and we are socialized to believe that women should expect that. And oh God, I don't like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Original observation.
On the most recent Anxious Love Coach episode, the host Natalie refers to a quote from a book that she's read recently about how, for men, emasculation is akin to, for women, objectification.
Interesting.
And when I heard that felt that resonated a lot. I thought, like, the times that I've felt emasculated, and there have been very brief periods, there have been very prolonged periods, it resonated for me in a way, like, I can't feel objectified in the same way. I can't feel that danger. I can't feel that exactly, but it just felt right.
You can feel that you have your agency taken from you.
Yeah, that's a really good way of saying it. Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly,
a diminishment of myself and my like, I am nothing. I am nothing but this one little thing, and I'm not worth anything. So after that episode came out, like, I clip little bits as I'm editing. I clip little bits that are little quotes that Natalie then puts on her Instagram in a bunch of different slides. She just pastes the text of her quotes and to promote the podcast. And I try to pick quotes that are a little bit spicy, a little bit interesting, grabby and stuff. And it's like, oh, I want to hear more. Like, that's the whole point. It's like get you into the podcast, hearing the thing more, and then like want to buy the services. And also I'm coming from the point of like, okay, she wrote the words, she said the words, and then she chose to put what I put onto her Instagram. And so like, I am pretty removed from responsibility of this. But there's still a little bit of like, well, I did pick the quotes. Anyways, she put these quotes up on her Instagram and got a whole ton of backlash. She lost 2,000 followers. There's a bunch of comments are saying like, the emasculation is nothing like objectification. And there were also other quotes that people were having issues with. In general, it was about masculine and feminine energy and how they're different. And the podcast was a bit about how, it was taken as the feminine energy is responsible for the masculine's behavior, which is not. That's like way oversimplifying it to the point where it's no longer accurate.
Sure,
but it's like okay, I can see how you got there, but you're not listening. And so it's way more like masculine and feminine energy are different, and if you use your feminine energy in this way, it's very understandable and predictable that the masculine energy is going to react in this other way. And so maybe if you don't need to do that feminine behavior, if that's not essential to your core, maybe try and change that and see if the masculine response changes in kind. And so, yeah, that can be interpreted as woman does something wrong and the man freaks out about it. And that's the woman's fault for the man acting that way. And it's like, no, that's not the point. Anyways, same with a woman dressing a certain way and a man's response to it. It's not the woman's fault that the man responds to sexy tits with googly eyes, but it's also very expected. Like it happens because it's a part of our energy.
Yes. So and I'm gonna dissect that to see if I understand it right.
Please.
Which might be me questioning it. I don't know. So for me, there is response. No, there. Oh, what is it now? There is the whole thing here. There is when you receive an input, and then when you respond to it, reaction.
Yeah.
So there's receiving the input, and then there's reacting to it. There is a better way of that being put. They are two different things, and often we think of them as the same thing. We react to something happening. You don't. You react to
your feeling about it.
You're feeling about it. So you're getting an input, and so
and you can choose whether to react out. You can choose whether to react or not.
Exactly. So you may not be able to choose to look at someone and go, wow, they look super sexy, and objectify them in your brain and have thoughts about, what happens there.
Yeah.
How you respond is a better word to react.
Oh, yeah.
How you respond is absolutely the man's responsibility.
Yes.
I can completely buy, and perhaps this is what you're saying, and I'm just underscoring it so that I understand it myself, that yes, if you are dressed a certain way, or if you look a certain way, I mean, this could apply to so many things, but yeah, let's say, you're dressed a certain way, and men and, I mean, I don't know, like women as well. It's about, because like you said, it's about masculine and feminine energy, not necessarily what body parts you have, is going to respond and go, that's a sexy ass person. And that is part of the thing. And, but it's, but then does there need to be a level of responsibility? That's where I was falling down there in terms of, does the woman have a responsibility in that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. But it is her. it is within her power to make different decisions on her end, not necessarily like, oh, I need to be a prude and I need to wear burqa and I need to I have to shun myself away from men or else I'm going to turn them on. Like that's going the insane extreme. With this, when I was thinking about this earlier, it was more in the context of a relationship. It's like, sure. Doing the dishes and hoping that would change how the man sweeps the floor. It's a bit more like low stakes, or high stakes, depending on your relationship. But
or the floor.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, okay, fine. We've kicked around it and we're all violently agreeing. Great. What do we do about it? I kind of want to go back to, bro, because I kind of think that's slightly disappointed, like tone. Yeah,
bro.
I think that's what, like we have to, when we see the behavior, we don't have to, and this is what is so often my thing is like, go on a big tirade. You mustn't do. How dare you? How about you just go, bro, and then see what happens next? Yeah. Because if that person goes, what?
Like anybody could read, bro, how like we read it as a disappointment because we have some awareness to that. Somebody else could be like, bro,
I was thinking about that. I don't know. With a word like that, I don't know. Like, but either way, those of us who are using it in the way that we're talking about,
if they don't have that context,
bro.
Yeah,
with a little, bro, with a little shake of the head, little sort of side eye.
Yeah.
And that's maybe where it starts. And
sure, yeah, I like that
because we can't. There's a whole thing here about happier lives, meaning that you don't get involved in other people's shit, basically, and you look after your own shit and you just try and do good where you are and that kind of stuff.
Good fences make good neighbors.
Oh, hello. That's when good neighbors become good friends. That's a reference for my British kinfolk. There is by just saying, bro, and allowing for what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
Because someone might look sheepish and they might go, I guess I shouldn't, and that might be all it takes. Probably more likely you'll get the response of what, and then you get to have a conversation, and ask a question rather than make an accusation. Isn't that? I mean, the question I'm asking is going to be judgmental anyway, but fine. Isn't that a bit whatever? Doesn't she have the right to whatever? And then you get to get into it. But opening with that rather than opening with, it's almost a little akin to what we said. Was it 2 weeks? No, it was last week about getting into feelings and trying to connect on feelings. It's trying to connect, and especially if we can then think about what you say, the way you say that can make someone feel unsafe. What happens when you feel unsafe? And try and connect to it on that level. But just I don't know, and it may be nothing, it may be silly, but there's something about just starting a conversation, just interjecting with, bro, to just leave enough of a thing open there, and not to back away from it if it needs to be said, but not to go ram in or keep it kept up inside you, where you're so frustrated that this person said this thing and it's gone against your values. It's breaching a threshold for you, and you've kept it inside because you're like, I don't want to destroy the night or whatever. And maybe all it takes is just, bro, I don't know. That's maybe that's where it starts. I don't know.
I like that.
Thoughts.
I like that. I mean, I do. I still stand by how bro could easily be read in different ways if it's just text. I like the
if it's just text, then yeah, that's a different Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm not thinking.
I'm actually
TikTok
kind of thinking in real life. Really.
Videos. Oh, in real life. Ooh,
yeah,
that's okay.
I'm
Okay. Well, in real life,
like
then
when you have those conversations.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like just comments on a post. But yeah, in real life, definitely. Oh, that's
bro
great.
with a full stop. That's what you do.
Bro period.
Bro with bro period. That's a different thing entirely. But yeah, bro with a full stop. That's it. It's the full stop that does it.
Bro period.
Bro, yeah.
I'm still thinking about the masculine and feminine energy aspect of this. So that was another part of the outrage on the Anxious Love Coach's Instagram, was that people are balking at the idea that men and women have masculine and feminine energy and that they're separate, and that I couldn't really quite understand the argument.
The argument against.
Yeah, like to me, it seems so clear that also I have grown up around a lot of women, and lately I've studied men a lot more, and I've also studied women a lot more, and like it's so clear to me that there is such a difference between men and women, both physiologically, mentally, emotionally. We handle things differently, and there's no, it's not like better or worse, it's just different, and it's good for us to understand each other, so that we can, have compassion, understanding, make good connections, follow through and follow along with what the other person is saying. One aspect I do remember hearing about in on the Instagram, as I just quickly scrolled to, I was like, because my host told me, is like, oh, it's blowing up. This is really, like, I'm really not scared, but it's like, am I doing the wrong thing and stuff? And so I went to go check it out. And one aspect of the masculine and feminine energy was like, this idea was used as a tool of oppression for women for ages. And my response to that was like, okay, yes, agreed, but just because something is used as a tool of oppression doesn't mean that there's not a kernel of truth in there. In fact, the reason why it worked as a tool of oppression is because there is truth in it. And it was just used and manipulated and warped into a way for men to overpower women, and they just it was used poorly. It doesn't mean that it can't be used expertly and have fantastic results. As we're, not entering, but as we're proceeding through this age of information and connection, whether it's correct information or good information, or if it's correct connection or good connection, is yet to be seen. Like, we're still trying to figure that out. But we have all this information and connection. We have this opportunity to learn and reevaluate our behaviors based on more information. And the way I see it, it's like women are great. Women are fucking cool as shit. And like,
turns out,
yeah, I've talked before, I'm pansexual, but like a woman is definitely my preference, and there's an attraction there that feels so solid and so base, true, core. And it's fascinating to learn more about how women work, like how the menstrual cycle works in phases, and how their emotional response to things is not only different from how a man would emotionally respond, but different based on what part of the cycle they're in. And that living in an era of denying that reality and brushing it off as the woman is crazy,
remaining incurious,
dismisses not only dismisses them, dismisses the men too. Like, we're just dumbing ourselves down into, I can't understand women because they're too complex. It's like, no, you can fucking grow up and learn a little bit and understand that a woman is complex, not crazy. So yeah, I go back to the last episode. Another problem, and men are the solution to that problem.
And to that, the phrase that's in my head now is like, don't diminish yourself by diminishing another person, by dismissing and saying, yeah, no, women be crazy, women be shopping. Yes, you diminish the woman, but you also diminish yourself because you also, because, and I think about things in, it's going to seem like a silly corollary, but if I think about things like IT, when people talk about they don't know how to do something in tech, I'm like, you absolutely do. You can do this. It's actually not hard. When people an error message, the amount of times I used to get phone calls with people, my computer's popped up an error message, I don't know what to do. Okay. What does the error message say? I don't know. There's an error message. Okay. What does the error message say? I'll give an example. Your computer has encountered a problem and it needs to reboot. What do I do? Well, think about the what it said. And you've got two options, and it's saying, do you want to reboot? What do you? And like, it's really hard to do that without being condescending. But like, what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
I am very much a teacher person to fish. I think that made me annoying to work with as someone on the end of the phone because they just want the problem to go away.
Yeah.
And I want them to, there's part of it is like, I want them to not call again.
Yeah.
But, I also want them to know, like, no, this, you just read the thing. This is what it's asking you to do. It's not,
Why is it better for you to hear it from me than for you to read it yourself?
Yeah, and like, there's all sorts of reasons why it's perfectly fine that they should do that, and like, they shouldn't have to care if they don't want to care about it. They shouldn't have to care. That's a separate conversation. But it's more just like, don't diminish yourself. And I think that's maybe another. I don't know, use coachy terms like reframing, but like, it's another kind of option here for us to turn the spotlight back on that person and say, okay, well, forget about what you're saying about another person. Think about what that says about you. Yes. You're making yourself small.
Yes.
Now, you're making yourself stupid. Do you want to do that? And I'm not calling you stupid because you said a stupid thing. I'm calling you stupid because you're not being curious.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're so that's the thing about the word stupid. I think stupid is a really interesting word because of like being in a stupor. Like, stupid doesn't mean unintelligent to me. Stupid means you're refusing to do the thinking. You're refusing to just get up off your mental backside and just take a quick look at something. When someone goes straight away, I don't understand what that means. It's like, work it out from context. You do know what it means. Like, look at the two bits of this word, television. What do you think that, whatever.
Yeah.
And again, like, people are tired, people are busy, all that stuff. But I think framing it in that term of like, no, you're making yourself small here. Do you really want to do that? I don't know. Maybe that's another.
That reminds me.
But that's kind of what bro does.
Yeah, bro. It reminds me of a moment from Orgazmo, the Trey Parker and Matt Stone classic about a Mormon who gets into the porn industry. And there's a scene where a woman is talking about the objectification of women within the porn industry. And there was like, I think it's just the sound guy or something is like, and therefore we objectify ourselves. He's just like kind of having this mind blowing kind of scenario. Whoa. So, bro. I think we should I think we should play our songs.
Yes, I think we should.
And you know what? Like it kind of goes into. I was thinking a bit during one of your rants.
One of my rants. One of my patented Mark Steadman rants.
Where like the dude saying the awful stuff in response to a video or whatever, like free speech. Like they get it.
Oh God, free speech, bro.
They get to be.
Yeah. Actually, yes. You know what?
There's no policing of that shit. Like that's.
You know what? Yes, that actually ties in very well. It ties in well with my song, and I think it's my turn to go first.
I have lost track, but let's do it. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
Okay, this is called #free speech.
#free speech.
In this world of wrong and right, hate and spite, black and white, there is call for nuance and calm. Do no harm, but build up your grenade arm. There is a moment when expressing all your thoughts and inner feelings is healthy. The trouble is the things you say will make you less appealing. Take all your facts and hold them tightly. Words are flighty, they're so often twisted. Hold your nose while rolling down your trousers. Take your opinion and shove it up your bum. Words are hard and time is short. Quick retort, no time for thought. Counterpoint the narrative on the spot. You won't gain a lot from chatting with the robot. There may be words you haven't read or understood, but there's no need to. When you can copy from an LLM and echo words they feed you. Protect your research from enemy forces. Cite all your sources, they're so seldom listed. Hold your breath and wait for 30 seconds. Take all your reckons and shove them up your bum.
Dang.
There you go. I love that. I'm so happy with that one.
Holy shit, dude.
I'm happy with that one. I was having quite because I thought I knew what the song was going to be when we proposed it last week. I thought I know what it is. And I had it in my head, and then I sat down and started to write it, and I was like, I don't like who the hero of the song is, because the hero of that song was going to be someone whose speech is being censored, and I didn't want that. And so it took ages to try and find the thing. And then I just ended up noodling on this little melody. And I found this little minor key melody. And I was like, oh, there's something in that. And then shove it up your bum is just, to me, so much funnier than, anything ruder. Like, it's it's, so I'm really pleased with that one.
That's fantastic. I love the style. Oh man, it's so dancey and like, oh, hilarious. Oh, kudos. That's amazing.
3 or 4 part harmony at the end as well.
Yeah. Oh, your harmonies sounded great.
That was, thank you. That was, because I did that on a Saturday or Sunday, so I had plenty of time to sing silly. I mean, the amount of times I had to sing "Shove It Up Your Bum" into the microphone.
Shove it up your bum.
I can't help but wonder what these poor people in this building must think.
Oh, that was amazing! Like excellent musicianship and production on that one too. Like, thank you. Really, I agree that you leveled up. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's something. I think it's that a bit more of a complex melody. And weaving in of words was where the fun was. Okay,
you're really excellent at multiple styles. Like you just throw it. Like,
thank you.
That came out of nowhere, and it's just this kind of like Eastern European style. And it sounded, it was perfect. Like so for mine, as we're transitioning to mine, like I tried to do a specific kind of style, a specific artist, because of some keywords that were mentioned in the previous episode, and like I watched some YouTube videos on how to make a song like this artist, and like got some stuff, and I got I kind of got some of it, and then I was kind of feeling the time crunch, and so I was like, so I kind of got the style parody in the core like breakdown, and like the main part of the song, and then I felt this time crunch. I'm like, okay, I can't keep researching to be able to make the rest of the song like this person explicitly. I can't make a super cover. So I just kind of like expanded it, but it's all my own style as it expanded outward from like the core, and it sounds great. I'm really happy with it, but it no longer sounds like that artist.
Right.
So,
okay.
And I'm finding this is like, as I make songs, and I've talked about ad nauseum, I feel like I have my style and I can't really break free from it, which I kind of like, but also,
yeah.
But when it's, when you're playing all these things that it's like, dang, I could never do that. That's amazing. I'm just so in awe. I love it. So, but yeah, let's proceed with free speech.
This is free speech, free speech, free speech.
You naughty boy!
Just shut up.
Oh, I love how that comes in at the end with no effects. Wow. You see, there's some shit there I'd love to learn how to do. That is dense. That's thick and dense. Who's the artist that was the
the inspiration? Marshmallow.
Marshmallow, oh, right.
Yeah, Marshmallow. It's spelled without the ending W. He's a very big DJ in the pop EDM scene, and the breakdown is like almost entirely lifted. Well, yeah, there was a YouTube video breaking down one of his tracks that I didn't recognize, and I like as best I could remade exactly everything that he was remaking, although it sounded way different. I mean, not way different, but pretty different. And then I just like I was intending to sing the song a lot like the artists that he picks sing over his songs, and then I was like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. And then I ended up doing like 7 different styles of singing. I tried to do a really light and fluffy intro, and then I was like, then I just go to this fear and anger, like this, just like
I
megaphone
love the processing on that. It's so punchy and crunchy and big. Well, it's big.
You know what happened is like I did a take and I liked it, except I got a little bit too loud in the middle. Like and as we grow strong, and I just kind of like it didn't work well, and so I did a couple processes and used a couple pedal effects that compressed it, and like it compressed it, and so that you couldn't tell, like it was all the same dynamics, and it wasn't overly present in the middle, and I'm like, oh, I like that, and that added the kind of megaphone aspect to it, and I was like, oh, actually, this works really well thematically with what I'm saying, and then that worked out. And then of course I edited the podcast later, and then you said that, and I was just like, oh my god! And actually, I sent it. I almost sent it to you in the chat as just a little clip. I was like, oh, it's a good thing I didn't hear this sooner, or else this would be all over my my song this week. And then I was like, wait, I can still do that.
Hang on a minute.
And then I knew where to put it, and it was just like, not that you were like, I mean, I guess you're kind of acting like the person who's advocating for free speech when I'm saying wake up, but you were acting like that person in the podcast too. So it wasn't you, it was the thing you were acting as. Anyways,
indeed. Are you doing all this in Logic?
Let's see. Yes, it's all 100% in Logic with a bunch of plugins. The breakdown or the drop where I have it all chopping up my vocals.
Yeah.
That is a specific it's a Stutter Edit by Isotope. And it's like man, it's so frustrating because it's good at what it does, but it's super complicated and weird to use and opaque. And it's just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to put the note here. What happens? Okay. I kind of like that. I don't like that. I'm going to put the note here. What happens? And it just takes a long time to just like, you can't really tell it like, I want it to do this.
Yeah.
You just put it out there and see what happens. And
it's sort of random and
Yeah. So it takes a lot of time to fiddle with it. And it's like, man, should I just have chopped it up myself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I did get some effects that I was really hoping for and stuff. So that was fun. Was really I've been really enjoying a couple free Valhalla plugins that they have a really nice aesthetic that's just like flat color with other flat color contrasting it as the knobs and faders and stuff. And it's not like this, it tries to look like photorealistic, skeuomorphic and bullshit. And like, it's like, you don't need to spend so much time on that. Just spend the time on making the good plugin part, the sound effect part. Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. But yeah, Valhalla, they have like they have a couple free plugins, and one of them is this delay reverb. I think it's called Supermassive. And like there's a whole bunch of presets on it, and the presets are just like, they're really super massive. They're just like really out there and stuttery and all that stuff, and it's super fun. I'm happy now that I have a decent sized playable keyboard for when you visit. Now you can sit down at the piano and I can pick up the guitar and we can do something like that. Just have to have my laptop open.
So I don't think we talked about this, but when I was last in Brighton, I was in the train station because the train I wanted to get couldn't get. Anyway, I had a little bit of time, and they had, which they sometimes do and sometimes don't, they had the piano there, and it's a big rainbow coloured upright piano. And I have a little, it's not a party trick necessarily, but a party piece that I've never done in public before. And I was a bit nervous, so it came out a bit sloppier than I would have liked. But I do a version of "Welcome to the Black Parade" on the piano.
Oh, that's
it's both. It's the bass line or the sort of chords and the melody and it's like it kind of comes out quite nice, and it's a big workout. It's a lot. The fingers are doing a lot. And so it might be fun to bust that out at some point.
Oh, I would really enjoy that. I actually just watched. That reminds me of a YouTube video I watched. I've seen this trend lately of like, this famous artist hears this other famous artist for the first time and then reacts to it and plays along and does their own version of it or whatever. And I've enjoyed some of them here and there, but I watched the Blue Man Group hears the Black Parade for the first time, and like. It was doubly special because the Blue Man Group, like, they're play acting aliens that are like, just, they only know music and they only know percussion, and it was super fun. Links in the show notes. It was an enjoyable time.
Should we talk about Heretic?
Yeah. Let's do it.
So I went to see Heretic last Wednesday. I went on a little mandate. And the reason I call it that is because I've not hung out a ton with this guy before, so it was kind of one of those, and it was fun. And we were both horror fans, and it was the last couple of days of being able to see the film over here, and so we went and saw it, and we will talk about that. And then you saw it this week,
and and it was funny because I knew it was a horror movie, but I was just I was thinking of it as a Hugh Grant movie. And I go into the theater and I sit down and I was like, a preview for a horror movie, a preview for a thriller, a preview for a horror movie. I'm like, dang, there's a lot of horror movies coming out, I guess.
Are we in a horror cinema?
Why is there so many horror? Oh, that's right. This is a horror movie.
Remember. So spoilers abound from here on in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Heretic. All right. Bottom line or top line. Top line. What did you think?
I very much enjoyed it. It was fantastic. And I really saw why you wanted to share it with me. And like, plot wise or like horror movie wise, like I could see things ended up exactly as I expected based on the genre. And so like that wasn't super surprising or whatever, but I also kind of feel like it wasn't meant to be. But I was thrilled throughout. I loved the presentation of questions and choices. Yeah, I mean, especially the scene where they're in that library and they're like, and he's going through all of the different other religions and like the game analogy, which is just so great because it was just it's capitalism. Like it couldn't be more capitalism with the choice of Monopoly, and then it was also a board game that people have to purchase. Like it was also, it's like so many levels of capitalism. Just like, here's an analogy I want you to use. Oh, and the use of iterations of like, it's just a different version. Like, it came to me later on when he said, it came to me later about earlier in the movie when they're sitting and just drinking in the main room. And he says, with great power comes great responsibility. And she says, oh, Spider-Man? And he's like, Voltaire. And I was just like, oh, that's really, when that came up, I was like, oh, dang, that's really, I want to look into Voltaire now. I didn't realize that came from him. That's really cool. I want to see more about that context. But then later I was like, oh, he's talking about different versions of the same thing again. He's just talking about remixes. And that's cool. And and I love the use of music in the library where it was Creep, but it was the older song.
Yeah, I wonder.
And then it was Lana Del Rey.
I was curious as to why they chose the version of Creep they chose, and I wonder if it was just to keep the cost down because it wasn't the original. It wasn't the version of Creep that we know. I think it was like maybe a demo or something, or it was definitely a Tom York, I think, on his own acoustic, version.
Yeah, I didn't even track that.
Yeah, I wonder if it was. Although it's usually, I don't know. I feel like it's usually the lyrics and the that cost more, but whatever. Either way, it's fine. It's not like it detracted from the film, but I noticed it. I was like, I wonder why they chose that, and it probably was to keep the right. I didn't
even notice that Creep actually played. I only remember hearing Hugh Grant singing it, which was hilarious.
He yes, I'm a weirdo.
You know the lyrics, right? You recognize the song, or maybe you recognize Lana Del Rey.
And because I remember hearing that lawsuit, and the Hollies are an underrated band. Some of the best songs of the '60s come from the Hollies, and "Air That I Breathe" is just a brilliant song. And so that's the original that they played on the show, but on the film. But it's such a great thing. But I also loved her the line, like, your rhetoric is thin. Like, I loved her rebuttal.
Her rebuttal was fantastic.
Yeah, you're not thinking about the 6 million, the extermination of the Jews. You're not thinking about this. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Because obviously,
Clap back.
We're getting into it, right? Yeah, Hugh Grant, you tell him. And then she's like, no. Think about this, and that. Oh, yeah, your rhetoric is thin. Wonderful. Wonderful.
I was expecting this to happen, but I loved the presentation of how important the choice is and how it did not matter at all. They both going right down to the same spot.
In order to go down, you have to go out. Or the other way around. Yes. I and the whole reveal of what religion is control. Wonderful. And I think that's, we've talked about that. Wonderful. So the end has stuck with me, and I kind of want to tell you something which is perpendicular to this conversation. I prayed last night.
Amazing.
So I another way of disguising it, calling it, if you find the word prayer triggering, as I'm, whatever. I performed a loving kindness meditation.
Oh, wonderful.
Where I lay down for 15 minutes, set a timer, and I went through the people in my life, and I wished good things for them.
Amazing.
And
that's good vibes.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. May the sort of refrain which I'm borrowing from the podcast and your Pierce, may you be happy, may you be healthy, and sort of adapting that, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you know that you are loved and are safe. And I started with the cats. I literally started with who was nearest. I started with the cats. I wished my neighbors well. I extended it to my brother and and the family, and to you, and gave specific thoughts about, like, I hope that this thing that they're thinking about or wrestling with works out, and that kind of stuff. And it was it's great.
Beautiful, dude.
And part of that is set up by thinking about that in the film. Genuinely, like, it was her praying for Hugh Grant's character at the end. It not being about Hugh Grant's character, but being about her.
Yeah.
Like, I do this. I don't do this for me. Like, I know it doesn't work, but that's not the point.
Right.
The point is to think about another person, and that was the key of it for me.
Yeah.
And I love the moment where he kind of supplicates himself to her. He kind of crawls into her as this whimpering child, because
it was so mother-child.
Finally thought about him.
Yeah.
Someone's finally extended a thought to him and hopes that he will be well, which he clearly hasn't had that for God knows how long, because God knows how many women are down there, and how long he's been doing this. No one's ever said, or spared a thought for him, and she does, and that's wonderful.
That was beautiful.
Interesting little tidbit at the end, like the butterfly lands on her finger.
Yeah, that was cute.
Is that because that was her wish for when she died? So for me, does that mean she dead?
I mean, I can see that. That's definitely an interpretation for sure. I pictured it as the friend who died coming back and being like, yeah, this wasn't my wish, but you just mentioned it, and I didn't voice one, so I'm going to do this to show you that I'm here. But then it disappeared, and so it was kind of like, oh, she's just imagining. But
and still no phone signal or anything. Yeah. What a fun, like, juicy, meaty, like there was so much in that. It was like a full meal, for a film. So many horror films you can graph. Like, I always think about horror films in terms of content, like horror content, the actual stuff that scares you. Apart from, like, jump scares, the actual stuff that's like, her
getting stabbed in the stomach was the only time that really that jolted me. But it got me. It got me good.
What I mean is, like, with a lot of horror films, the graph is like, you've got a bit of a spike at the beginning, whatever the content is in terms of like what you're actually snacking on. It's like big spike, and there's kind of plot, and there's not that much. This was dense, and there's stuff there for you to snack on all the time, and that's what,
for sure,
like there's constantly something for you to have a little think about and a little nosy about, and just I love that. It's like nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. So the women in the basement. So like this to me, this feels like so far from the meaty goodness of the whole movie. Like Hugh Grant's incredible performance as this character was the shining light through the whole thing. All the religious takedowns, like I love their back and forth in the living room was just fantastic, and like critiquing, and the way that he would, he'd use those awful salesman tactics of like, asking something completely unrelated and just being like trying to be fun and charming again, and to get you to stop thinking the bad thoughts or whatever. Like, oh, if you're not feeling into this as much anymore, let me distract you. Like that was beautifully done. And also I hate that thing that people do, but and so like all of that part is stuff I loved, and the horror aspect to me was a little bit like, oh, that's just like the framing device on how we get this character, and it's not super essential, but I'm still interested in talking about the women in the cages, like, and okay, so there was that misty gas like coming out of the device, and it's like, okay, is that some sort of control agent? But then he's also in there breathing that in for a period of time, which is interesting.
Oh, I thought it was just like a cooling agent rather than a neurotoxin to keep them freezing, because I think he mentioned something about them being cold. That's
true. Okay, it could have just been a cold thing. That makes sense. And so the control is just like, I mean, because I'm assuming, obviously, those women don't believe the miracle because they're performing the fake miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So they're controlled because they're held captive. So it's the only choice that they have is to do it. So and now I'm kind of getting it, because I was kind of feeling like they actually believed some way, but I guess they didn't. They were just forced to because they were trapped.
Yeah, because there's the whole point of the whole sort of mention of the script, and he says yes, one of them did go off script.
Yeah.
Who was the first one in however many, and again we get back to iterations. Funnily enough, he's iterating on this plan. He's iterated however many countless times, and this was the last iteration where something went wrong, because this one had the cojones to find, or I mean, who knows, like maybe they all did,
right?
But you had two women here who were smart enough to detect something,
to see a letter opener being left out in the open.
Yeah. I loved how because you've got this difficult, but for me, we've talked about religion and the sort of teams aspect of religion, not being a fan of, and I knew exactly what they were doing, but I was still like, well played. You've got this challenge of these deeply religious people. How do you make them sympathetic? And how do you allow yourself? How can we draw these characters so that you can be on their side and identify with them?
Yeah,
which you have to do from pretty early on. And I think what's lovely is they paint the picture first of they're sweet, they're not. And like playing around with probably some tropes about Mormonism, like they're aware of the world, they know what a dick is.
Do you look at porn often?
Yeah, exactly.
No, of course not.
No. And they play with that, and so they help you there, and so you can see this especially the younger one, the sort of acolyte, she's clearly sweet, and so that's fine, that's lovely. But then it's the moment where they're taking selfies, and then these girls bully them. Yeah, exactly. And so that's I was like, yep, that's the moment that you are then being given the signal to sympathize, because no one can fail to be sympathetic to someone regardless of their beliefs. No one deserves to be humiliated, and so it was enough of a leveler that we can go, okay, cool, like they have a weird religion, we are now completely on their side because no one should be treated that way regardless of how weird their religion is. And so it was just one of the, like I like being able to spot these things, but also be, because I'm, somewhat literate in film and storytelling, but it was still nice to be able to be walking alongside it, and then for the film to run ahead and let me catch up, or actually, no, I don't even think it did that. I don't think it did that. It let you be alongside it the whole time, which I think that's where that like meatiness, that kind of crunchiness comes from. It's like you're actually, it hasn't run ahead of you and waited for you to catch up. It's actually kind of step by step with you. It's not exactly holding your hand, but it's like it's letting you play and letting. I thought it was so good.
Yes,
really. Yeah. And I was conscious of how much I was enjoying it at the time. I was like, this is brilliant. I'm having a great time.
Yeah. Do you believe that my wife is still in the next room, despite all of the evidence to the contrary?
To the contrary.
Super good.
What a performance. Wow. I mean,
wow.
What a performance. Hugh Grant, hats off. He was clearly having a lot of fun, and really that man, he's enjoying himself. He's eating up the scenery, just having an absolute blast. And just, charming, but also, horrible and horrific and grotesque and wonderful. I hope it never will, because horror films don't get no recognition.
Sure.
I hope it gets something, because it deserves something.
I would agree.
It deserves some nods, because it's better than it needs to be.
Yeah. I felt like this was the role for Hugh Grant that I most lost him in. Like I could still kind of see it was Hugh Grant the whole time, but there was never ever been a point before where I don't feel like this is Hugh Grant. This is Hugh Grant. Like it's just him, because he very often plays the same kind of bumbling, adorable guy, and he's not that in this. But he's still very much him.
Yes,
but because he's been playing himself, he's been playing his character so much, like it's ingrained in him. He can't not be. But also, he really stretched. He really did something different with this, and
he dug in and found something.
I definitely wasn't thinking, that's Hugh Grant saying this thing and that the whole time. The iteration thing was fantastic. Obviously, all the religious commentary was glorious. And even though
free will, my dude.
Yeah, and that wasn't explicitly mentioned, but it was I get why you brought that up. That was. We don't have free will in this scenario.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and her teardown of his religious tirade was wonderful. Yep. But also, I still feel like he won that argument.
I think so. I also loved the
in terms of believing a specific religion, there is no right one, because they're all just copies of each other. That is clear as day. And whether, he's forgetting the Holocaust and other things, sure, she's tearing down the argument of why there's not that many Jews, but that's kind of beside the point. The point is that there's no God. There's no.
Yeah. I loved I didn't clock this, so it was ahead of me here. He was improvising thing when he starts talking about simulation theory. I didn't clock that, and she, the remaining character, did, and I thought that was lovely, because when he started talking about simulation, because the whole time you're figuring out, okay, what's his deal? What's his point? What's his purpose? What is his animus? The thing that's driving him to whatever it is. What's the point that he's got to prove?
Yeah.
And I liked the idea when he started talking about simulation theory. I just went, oh, he's just nuts. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's just nuts. And that's actually, you tend not to have that as a character trope within stories because it's not satisfying. But I kind of liked that. I thought that was like, oh no, he's crazy. He believes simulation theory, and but no, it was yet another like pullback and reveal of no, he was improvising, trying to talk his way out of it.
It didn't I get that. It didn't ring that way to me as I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like. I heard her say that. Oh, you're fumbling around and you're making it up as you go along now because you're stumbling through it. But like, I thought, like, I didn't necessarily believe that was the case. That was just how she was interpreting it.
Oh, that's how I thought. Yes, I'm with you. It wasn't until he admitted it later.
Yeah. Well, because he admitted it later because, because one of the women went off script, and so I guess I was just kind of taking it like I guess I'm wondering like where when he traps those other women, where did they go? Like how far did they go through the haunted maze of not haunted maze, but like the fun house at the bottom too, or did like
and were there always two women?
What was the end game? Where was it actually where he was going to cage the main character? And so I assumed they were always going to get down to that part, and so he's improvising because he's trying to find a new way to get her to think of the way to look for the way down into the basement. And he's just trying to all right, that didn't work for you. Let's figure out another way to get you to the next step. Like that was the way I was kind of approaching it.
Yes.
It's always that he wants to get her to be in the cage too, to be a next woman that's going to act as a miracle. Like that's what I'm assuming. He's just factory farmers, conveyor belting these women. And that was my guess. Is that
and then I think that the free will thing, because if I remember rightly, didn't she move the table or something, and then found the trapdoor underneath it?
Yeah,
which is all by design.
Yeah.
So again, it goes back to the free will thing of. She's got to believe that she's escaping. She's got to believe that she's taking a free choice, whereas that was absolutely by design. Just nothing. Free will doesn't exist.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, it's interesting because when they first get down into that torture chamber, the round room, then she does move the table and puts the chair up on the table and tries to get out the window, and then they move the table back. And they just didn't happen to notice the trap door, which is interesting. Oh, because it was kind of covered by mud, I guess. A fantastic movie. Great recommendation. Highly.
Very glad you enjoyed it. Did you know you're part of the Leguminati? This is an article, patron saint of the podcast. Anya sent me this morning because I've been talking to her about beans. There is a Guardian article. There's actually a couple. And this one is entitled, "It's Like a Secret. Why do the Leguminati want to change the way we eat?" And it's all about the sort of the renaissance that beans are having. So I'll have to send these to you.
Oh, that's amazing.
You are part of the Leguminati, Brendan.
I am.
Trying to force beans down us. I've been eating beans all week, and I've been taking your advice, trying to not combine them with fats.
Nice.
So it's,
Awesome, dude. It's going to be good for you.
Right. Yeah. All right. Anyway,
and as always,
correct me if I'm
Correct me if I'm beans.
beans.
Looks like Roscoe wants to jump up on the shelves.
Yeah, he's been very. Oh, thank you. Yes, please, thank you. It won't sustain your weight. Thank you for the warning. Hello, cheeky boy.
Oh, I can see.
So we got through it. I think.